So what were your first impressions when you first arrived there, touched down, arrived at the airport? Did it live up to all the digital nomad hype that it had, or what did you think when you first arrived?
So let me think back to that first time. We took the bus from Bogota, so we didn't get to see that cool view
Oh,
flying in.
yeah.
On a clear day, on a nice day, if you're flying in the afternoon, you'll be just amazed by the views of the city and the mountains around. I have experienced that, but the first time we went, it was on a bus from Bogota. So we were on the bus for about 9 hours, and at the end, when it's coming around the windy mountain road to get you down into the valley to the city, the traffic was horrendous. So that was my first impression was just, oh wow, I want to get off this bus. But when we did actually get settled in our Airbnb and then went out to explore the next day, my first impressions were just that it's a gorgeous city with the mountains all around it. Yeah, it's just very pleasing to the eyes. It looks like a postcard, and it. I was very impressed immediately by the public transportation, which we can talk about. I mentioned a lot about it in the article. Medellin has the only metro system in the country. They're always like, screw you, Bogota, we have a metro, you don't. And they're really proud of it, and it's efficient and it's clean and it's affordable. And not only the metro lines, but they have cable cars that go up into the hillside barrios, which, until those were built, it was real difficult for people who lived up in there. Some of these communities are informal kind of hodgepodge communities, so they're low income people, and it was a struggle to get down into the city to find a job to make a living. And so that's a big part of the transformation of the city, is opening it up to people through the metro, through the cable cars, the bus system. It all runs together very smoothly. It's affordable, and yeah, it's impressive to see that. I'm from Detroit, and we've been talking about getting some decent public transportation there for decades. And so far we have one like streetcar line that goes up a few blocks on one street. It doesn't really help anybody. So I'm just impressed to see that Medellin's been able to do this in a relatively short amount of time, and it's been a game changer for the city.
Yeah, it's very impressive for sure. Some people out there might also still kind of associate with the city with its more dark reputation.
Yeah, for sure. Well, they've watched Narcos on Netflix, probably.
Exactly. And perhaps in the media in the United States, it's still not portrayed the way it should be. So what's your take on that? And what's your advice to someone who might think, oh no, I would never go there, too dangerous?
I mean, you can just look at the facts and see that Medellin was an incredibly dangerous city once upon a time. I believe it was listed as the most dangerous city in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I put it somewhere in the article, late 80s, early 90s, when Escobar had a stranglehold on the city, and it was run by narcos. It was a very dangerous place. You would find no tourists in the city at that time. It was 1988 that it was called the most dangerous city in the world, and in 2013 it was called the most innovative city in the world. So, it still has problems with narco trafficking. Of course, it's Medellin, it's Colombia. It's still pretty famous as a destination for buying and using drugs and for prostitution and all these things. Like, there's still that underbelly there, but on a day-to-day basis, it's a safe city, other than pickpockets and stuff like that. I felt totally safe there, and we would go out on our own. We would take public transportation. We would go out in the evenings. So there's certain areas you don't really want to be walking alone at night, for sure. Like the Centro area is generally thought to be better to explore during the day, not so much at night. There's certain things that you have to be wary of. Like, I've heard of cab drivers taking people for a ride. You get in and tell them where you want to go, and they don't take you there, but instead they take you to an ATM and basically rob you there. I've heard of stuff like that. I've heard of people getting drugged. You got to watch your drink at bars and don't accept a drink from somebody else. There's some bad stuff that goes on, but generally speaking, especially if you're avoiding nightlife, it's a pretty safe city. And I wouldn't think that watching an episode of Narcos gives you any really insight into what it's like these days. That's a dramatized version of the past. I think most people in the city are very happy to be rid of that image and not talk about it. And there's these certain
Right.
Pablo Escobar tours, like you can go play paintball at his old mansion that was bombed by a rival gang or something. And I get why some people would come to the city and think that's fun and that's going to look cool on my Instagram, but it's kind of insulting to the locals that people go play a game with paintball guns at a place where Colombians were murdered.
Yeah, it's a bit of
So
a faux pas in a way
yeah,
to be like, oh, Pablo Escobar, so cool that
right.
he's from
But
here.
on the other hand, there are still Colombians who idolize him because he was kind of a Robin Hood figure. He gave a lot of money to poor communities. He paid for schools and hospitals and even a football club. So if you're going to give Colombians a football team, they might like you. So it's a weird vibe. Just generally speaking, I tell people people don't really want to talk about that. They don't want to be associated with that. They want people to talk about Medellin for all the positive things that are going on there, for the greening initiatives, for the public transportation system, for these different I think I've mentioned one building there. It's a very innovative place. They let like startups come there. The building itself looks cool and futuristic, and these are the kind of things people want you to be saying about their city, not talking about what it was like in the 80s and the early 90s. It's completely changed.